our God. He is our God. There is no one else. He is our God. He is our God. There is no one else. I praise your name, Most High and awesome God, and lift my hand unto you. You save my soul on a rugged tree. Now I praise you and serve you, Lord, throughout eternity. You are my God. You are my God. There is no one else. You are my God. You are my God. There is no one else. You are my God. You are my God. There is no one else. There is no one else. Perfect. I know it can be difficult, but it's good sometimes for us to learn new songs and just appreciate good lyrics that help us turn our hearts toward Christ. And now we'll continue and I'll hand over to Corey.
Okay. Well, we're glad to do this tonight. We've been looking forward to it since Wilbur and Dennis asked a while back to talk about Abraham and Isaac. And the first thing I thought of was Father, Son, and how cool is it that I get to do it with Aaron. And for those of you who don't know, that's my son. And some of the youngers may not make all the connections. But before we start, kind of a pre-class announcement that I wanted to make. We are talking about Abraham and Isaac. We're talking about father and son. And Aaron is our fourth child. And it's just kind of neat that he's 33 now. I won't tell you how old I am, but I was 33 when he was born. So maybe you can figure that out. But that's kind of neat. And it just so happens, so he has two sweet little girls, Ivy and Annabelle, 3 and 1, at least until May of 2023. When Ames Russell Everson will be here. And we thought, what a cool way on a Father-Son night to share that news. So there's only a couple of people here who knew anything about that. But what's really special is my brothers have girls, or if one of them has a boy, but he has all girls. And my sister, she has a son, but he's not named Everson. So this is the first guy who will kind of carry on the Everson name. So that's pretty neat. And just an introduction to our story. There you go. Aaron's pretty excited about it. The way he introduced us, obviously, we went over to their house and the girls had on Big Sister shirts. But he gave us a scorecard that said the score is now tied 4-4, and that's 4 boys and 4 girls. So that's how we even knew it was going to be. I didn't know they knew already it was going to be a little boy. So, Abraham and Isaac, just a neat story. We're going to look in Genesis 22 in just a minute here, and we're actually going to read the text, divide that up a little bit to discuss a few key verses. But if you remember, how old was Abraham when Isaac was born?
More than 33.
He was more than 33. He was even more than 66. He was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Sarah was 90. So here, obviously, he's a little bit older than 100, right? We don't know exactly how old Isaac was. I've heard all kinds of speculation. Right after this story, if you look in Genesis 23, it says, and then Sarah died. Well, she died at 127, so that would have made Isaac 37 when she died. Not sure he was 37 when all of this happened, but he was not a little boy either. So anyway, we're going to read Genesis 22 and then talk about a couple of the key verses. We're just going to read the first 14 verses, and I'm going to let Aaron pick up at about verse 7. So listen for a minute. You've heard this story, but there's about 2 or 3 verses here that I don't remember that. And that's how it always is when we read the story again. Sometime later, God tested Abraham, and he said to him, "Abraham, here I am," he replied. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah and sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I'll tell you about." So early the next morning, Abraham got up and he saddled his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey, while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we'll come back to you." So Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering. He placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. And as the 2 of them went on together,
Isaac spoke up and said to his father Abraham, "Father." "Yes, my son," Abraham replied. "The fire and the wood are here," Isaac said. "But where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And the two of them went on together. When they reached the place God had told them about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac, laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand, took the knife to slay his son. The angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," he said. "Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked up, and there in the thicket he saw a ram caught by his horns. He went over and took the ram, sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." And to this day it is said, "On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided."
Mm-hmm. What a story. You just put yourself in the place of either of those two. That's part of the discussion you guys are going to have in a little bit. Put yourself in the mind of Abraham or Isaac. But here's a couple of the key verses. Take your son now. Here's what I want you to do. Tomorrow morning, and it's your only son. It's the one that has been promised. Obviously, Abraham had tried another method, right? He had Ishmael, but that wasn't the son of promise. So he said, "Take your son, take him now." And it says in the very next verse, early in the morning. Do you know why they left early in the morning? Just a guess. I don't think Abraham slept a whole lot that night. You think not? What do you think was going through Abraham's mind as he tries to, does he even go to bed? Tomorrow morning, here's what I want you to do. Take your son and go up and sacrifice him. So they got up early in the next morning and they took off. And I think to myself, if there's something I'm dreading to do tomorrow, my worst thing ever, I've had 3 of them, are root canals. If they told me I had to have a root canal tomorrow morning, I might plan a trip out of town or something, right? So, or if you have this big exam coming up tomorrow, or you have whatever it is, some day you're dreading at at the office or whatever it might be. But early in the morning. So the thought is, what's going through Abraham's head? That's what I want you to be thinking about. And then Aaron, what do you think about verse 5?
Yeah, so then here, we need to focus on the word we. Because Abraham didn't believe that Isaac was going to be dead, right? So he said, we are going to go, and then we are going to come back. He didn't say, we are going to go, and I will come back. So he was, in his mind the whole time, Isaac was coming back with him, right? So we actually, I think we're going to read Hebrews a little bit later, but there he actually says that he believed that God could raise him from the dead, which at that time, that was new. That wasn't something like, oh, that happens all the time. It's going to happen this time too, right? So you go, and then verse 7. In verse 7, so that's the first time that Isaac spoke up. But this was a 3-day journey. You're thinking, like, what's going through his mind this whole time? This is when he speaks up, but what is he thinking that whole time? So he finally just speaks up, like, so what's going on here? Like, what are we doing? I know we're going to make a sacrifice, but where is it, right?
Yeah, he's got to have lots of questions. Just like, I think it's okay, even though we're going to read about Abraham in Hebrews 11, the Hall of Faith, the Hall of Fame of Faith, if you will. It doesn't mean that he didn't have doubts too. He had faith and believed in God, but he's got to be questioning. Like, I believed you when I left Ur of Chaldees and came here, and I believed you when this, and I believed you when you promised a son, and I believe that something is going to happen, and we will return. So, also thought it was kind of neat in that verse. He said, "Stay here, or we're going to go worship." He didn't even, we're going to go sacrifice, but we're going to go worship. And then verse 8 talks about how God will provide, and I think he had always provided for Abraham, and he thought this would be no different. That's why I love the fact that we can read the New Testament, not version of this, but story about it that says, as Aaron just pointed out, he just knew that God could and would raise Isaac from the dead. And then he got all the way to the point of raising the knife. We were going to do a little, the guys, I really appreciate the fact that you acted that out. But when I showed Aaron the machete I was going to bring tonight, he said, let's just, this will be fine. So we decided not to do that, and you guys did such a good job of that. One thing we did think about was, he raised the knife, he built the altar, and I thought we might just reread this text, assuming this is Kerwin and Aaron here, right? Or what might have been some of the things going on in their mind. So Abraham, God says, here I am. Take your son, your only son, Isaac. Okay, I'll be happy to. Thanks for giving me a son. I'm happy to have him. He's my son, my promised son. But what I want you to do is take him and sacrifice him as a burnt offering. And I would be, come again here. I got these new hearing aids here, and they, no, I want you to go sacrifice your son, Lord. I've done so much. I am a man of faith, but are you kidding me? There would just be so much doubt and hesitation. But instead, we know that he does say early the next morning. Can you imagine how he relays this story to Isaac? Because I think before this point where Isaac questions, where's the sacrifice, he probably says, son, we need to get ready early in the morning, get a good night's sleep. We're going on a little journey. We're going to take a little trip. God has asked me to take you up on the mountain, over there where we worship a lot. But he's asked something a little different this time. He wants me to sacrifice, which we do.
Oh, yeah, we got all the animals outside.
Yeah, well, this time he doesn't want us to take any animals with us. In fact,
we're going to a farm though, right?
Yeah.
There's a farm?
Well, here's no farms nearby, no animals. He wants me to sacrifice you.
Me?
On the altar. Right. Yeah, seriously. We'll get the wood cut. I'm going to have you carry the wood.
I can do that.
Yeah, you carry the wood. I got the knife. I got the fire. We're going to sacrifice you.
Yeah, good try. Good try.
So you can just replay it in your own mind, and we cannot understand even the willingness to take this 3-day journey. It just really speaks, obviously, to Abraham's faith, even to Isaac's faith. And what about his, I know when Aaron and I traded notes back and forth, I love the fact that he put something on one of his pages, since he hasn't read this yet. I thought, he said, as a son, you grow to trust your dad's word. You build rapport, so you trust the plan, even if it might sound crazy. And then he tells some of the things that he trusted me in, but you get the idea. Let's, that's how we would have hesitated. That's how we would have questioned. That's how we would have wondered, what in the world are you asking us to do, Lord? But not Abraham. He continues. He bound his son. He laid him on the altar. On top of the wood. He even grabbed the knife. And imagine the anguish and the horror of that minute when he's got that knife right here. I don't know if he was planning, maybe I'll swing and miss. Maybe I'll raise it up and throw it that direction. I don't know what was going through his mind. But what happened next? God interrupts. God stops him. I don't know if he grabbed his arm. I don't know if he couldn't take it any further. I don't know what happened. But we know this verse is one that I had missed before. It's verse 12. God told Abraham, now I know. Now I know that you really are Abraham, the man of faith. Now I know that you believe and trust. We're going to read 12 and then the promise. Do not lay a hand on him. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God because you've not withheld from me your only son. And so the promise was then, verse 16, I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you've done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars of the sky and the sands of the seashore. And so one of the things we wanted to talk about before we let you do your group time, and we're going to give you more time. We're going to try to do 15, 20 minutes of group time and 5 minutes of readout at the end. But we do want to give you time to share with the group as well. Aaron and I discussed this idea of sacrifice. I think today we don't really know what sacrifice means. I mean, sacrifice might mean I was going to give that guy on the side of the road $5. I think I'll give him $6. Or, I was going to write that check for $100. I'll make it $110. And that's not really at all sacrifice. I mean, here we're talking about giving your only son. I mean, this is true sacrifice. There's Aaron and I discussed one of the things that he had to do. I watched him as he was a triathlete for many, many years. And I thought it might be interesting just to share what an athlete has to sacrifice to be able to do a triathlon.
Yeah, so I did triathlons for about 7 years. One of these days I'll try to get back into them. But yeah, so I think some of the big things that I sacrificed was time and what the other thing I said? Time and nutrition, right? So those are the two big things that I grouped them into one. So time, you have to train, you have to travel. The closest one I did was downtown Nashville. The furthest I did was Cleveland, Ohio. All within 30 minutes up to 8, 10 hours, whatever that was. So I think that was a big sacrifice for me, my family. Parents went with me. Sarah went to all my races. So it's not just sacrifice for me, it's sacrifice for my family as well. And then another thing was nutrition. So that was, I love cookies, but I couldn't nearly eat as many or I'd have to run a little bit extra the next day. So there was this balance of what can I do but still have to give up something. So kind of just balancing basically nutrition each day, but then also on the race, in the race day, all that type of stuff. So there's a lot that you have to give up to get something different, or get something greater.
Yeah, and that's really getting to the last question that we're going to talk about. I love this quote that I found. Until we give up what we want for something we want more, we'll always come up short. And so we're going to have you think for a little bit. You know that Abraham, he certainly lived a life of testing and trusting. We're just going to close by reading Hebrews 11, 17 through 19, if you'd read that, Aaron. But one of the third question you're going to answer is, what is God asking you to take the knife to just trust him with it? I'm going to get rid of this, give it back, get rid of it. There's something I need to sacrifice in order to be God's man, God's woman. So we're going to put yourself in the mind of Abraham, in the mind of Isaac, and then what do I need to take the knife to? Go ahead and read Hebrews 11.
Hebrews 11, 17 through 19. By faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had received the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son, even though God had said to him, "It is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned." Abraham reasoned that God could raise the dead, and figuratively speaking, he did receive Isaac back from death.
He did, received him back from the dead. So here's your three questions. Put yourself in Abraham's place. What goes through your head when God says, hey, go sacrifice your child and sacrifice him for me? And then put yourself in Isaac's place when Dad comes to you and says, God has required a sacrifice and it's you. And then finally, something that you need to put on the altar for him, trust him with in your life. Take 15 minutes, no more than 5 per question, but save some time for everybody to speak up just a little bit, and we'll interrupt when it's time to have a little group readout. Thank you. And I know you'll come up with a lot of things that we didn't admit. So that's what we're excited about. Good stuff. We just need to say thanks. So we're going to give them
So I guess it's out there.
Part 2, and then we'll do some group readout. Yeah, let's see. I'll try to get some from over this side. You might have to. Yeah, this one. Almost.
Sound here. Wilbur and I are pretty good at level stuff. So yes. We wanted to have all these microphones over
Okay, let me ask, who came up with something that Abraham might have been thinking that we didn't even talk about? Just something you kind of think Abraham might have been going through his mind. Here you go. And we had a request too to try to get you to speak into the mic so everybody can hear.
Isn't it hypocritical of God to ask me to kill my child when he said that human sacrifice was abhorrent at one time? I said abhorrent, sorry, you might not, I went away from the mic. But God did speak morals into existence, so if he says human sacrifice is fine, then it's fine. I also put, it's sad to see him die, but I'd rather kill him than disobey God. God said he would give me many ancestors, so he'll probably replace my son.
Great. Yeah, so even almost hypocritical to ask. I gave him to you, but somebody else, another point that Abraham might have been thinking, or wondering, or worried about. See if you can get a mic to Jeff.
First off, came to my head was I want to sacrifice myself first before I sacrifice my son.
There you go. You know how many times parents, when their child is sick or hurting, you just go, I wish it was me and not them. You watch them what they're going through, and you think, yeah. Go ahead and get up there to that mic, if you will.
So we talked about that Abraham was probably like, this seems cruel, God. You made me all these promises, and now there's this. But something that we talked about was Abraham had been closely connected with God his whole life. If you think about God's intervention in his life throughout, so there was a lot of special communication that we just don't have recorded. And we talked about the symbolism between, he's like the archetype of Christ, the 3-day wandering or trip, and then the promise of a son, and then the whole way. I think Randy pointed this out, like in Abraham's eyes, he was dead the whole time he was walking, so the 3 days and things like that. But he had some sort of connection with God that he knew that he was going to be obedient. And this is going to be hard to do, but God was going to. God was going to do it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's move on to Isaac. Try to put yourself in Isaac's place and what's going through the son's mind when the father relays this message to him. Oh, I thought you were going to say something. You were kind of going, okay.
I'll tell you what I wrote.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it in a mic, please.
2 words, horror and disbelief.
Horror and disbelief.
Horror and disbelief, yeah.
I can't imagine looking up and my dad having a knife fixing to slam me, but, it just, it's horrible.
Yep. Horror and disbelief. Anything else going through Isaac's mind? Back here, Debbie. We can't get that far. Can you come up here? Okay, go ahead.
What we taught in our table, we kind of discussed that with everything, we also mentioned, like what Will said, that Abraham had lots and lots of relationships with God. That there was always things promised, and he always obeyed God, and he saw that it prospered him. So we think that
Yep.
So that's what we came up with.
That's, you assume it was like father, like son. And obviously, just for him to take the journey. Anybody else from Isaac's perspective? Yes.
Well, first I think, okay, my dad's going to kill me, so I'm going to run away. But there's no heaven or hell. And because there's no heaven or hell back then, since Jesus didn't die yet. So it's not like I'm going to hell for not being a sacrifice to God. Also, God can make my life a living hell. So actually, maybe I'll stay. Because like he could actually punish me for that in my own life. And just like not make my life worth it. If he really put his mind to it. Because he's God. So I'm just going to give him what he wants and be a sacrifice.
Okay. All right. And then one thing, Dennis made a really neat point here about, as much as we may need to get rid of some things in our life, sometimes it's not, is it sacrifice? Is it just purging something that's really kind of getting in the way? I know the elders, when we meet with new members here, we always tell them to just get involved in something. One thing, right? We don't say try to do 5 different, because as soon as we always use this phrase, when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So when you get involved in something, you're probably having to spend less time doing something else. So the question here was, is there something in your life that and this is a little more personal, somebody may, I hope a couple of people will share, else I'll just call it. No, I'm just kidding. What is God asking you to put the knife to purge from your life? Give it to him and trust him with it. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I put bad friends, bad influences, cookies.
Cookies? No. Get rid of that. Okay, keep going.
Grief, insecurities, anxiety, bad thoughts, and sassiness.
Yes. Very good. All except for the cookies. I believe he does want you to get rid of that other stuff. What a list. Get rid of bad friends, bad influences.
I'm going to do this. Underline cookies.
You're going to underline cookies. No, Mr. Kerwin said no. All right. Anybody else want to share? Yes. Go over here to Danielle.
I said my anxiety about my future because, sooner or later, all my friends here are going to be graduated, and my life's going to change in the next couple of years. And I think about it a lot, and I just want to give that anxiety up and just be hopeful for the future and be hopeful for college and new places and exciting things in life.
Very good. Anxiety. And just what's next? Because you're at that stage, there's a lot of changes and transition is going to happen in the next few years. So give it to God. Yeah, trust him with it. Anybody else? Back here, Nick. Nick, can you speak really loud or come to a mic?
Right. Yeah. So Jenny talked about this idea that we have we have so many blessings here in America, but the one thing that we can never get back is time. You can always get more money, always get more food, always get more sleep, but you can never take back time. Time's the one thing we have full control over, yet we can never get back because it's just the reality of life. So how hard would it be for us to truly give God our time and how we serve, live, and so forth?
Yep, good stewards of our time. That's a great one. We always find time for things that are important to us, right? Sometimes that could be, exercise. Sometimes that could be cookies. Find time for cookies. But time for God, certainly. One of my favorite quotes ever is Martin Luther, who said, I have so much to do today. I'm going to have to get up an hour early to pray. Wow. Have we ever thought of that? I got so much to do today, I'm going to have to get up at 4 instead of 5 or 5 instead of 6 and pray about all those things I have to do today. That's one way to look at it. We're going to leave the last 5 minutes for announcements and everything else. Thank you so much. I love this LYFT thing, and thanks for all your feedback.
You did awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, just to let you know, next Wednesday is a different topic. We're shifting every 4 weeks. So next week's a different topic. We'll hit the parables. And they're going to be different teachers. And just get ready to get a little more uncomfortable because you may not, the table you start at might not be the table you end at. Just get ready for some of, ooh, that's right, ooh, yeah. But parables coming next week, so that's what we got coming up. Thank you for being here tonight, by the way. We appreciate it. Thanks for all the teachers for the first 4 weeks. Give yourself a round of applause for being here tonight. It was great. All right, Christmas cards. I have to do those. Oh, yeah, there. All right, we got our Christmas cards in the back hallway back there in the great hall. If you have Christmas cards and you don't want to pay postage or tell the federal government we're going to keep our money, that's cool. Just put them all together, put them in a rubber band in alphabetical order by last name in the white box back there. And then December the 11th, our Spanish-speaking ministry is going to have foods from Honduras, Venezuela, Guatemala, and Argentina, and these are going to be authentic, not this stuff we get up here in Tennessee at certain restaurants. Authentic homemade food. It's going to be amazing. That'll be available between worship and class and then after class until 12:30. Donations are appreciated, and those donations go to the backpacks for opportunities when Jake goes to Honduras for kids to have school supplies and a backpack. The backpack will be full of school supplies that they really need down there. And then, of course, December 18th, our Christmas caroling, 5 p.m., and we'll deliver Mary Gill bags at that time. All right, now to Paige Greenwood, daughter of James and Rhonda Greenwood, sister of Sarah and Ashton, girlfriend of Braden Clark. Any other things?
Yeah. You mean click them or do you want to click them?
No, I got it. Okay.
All right.
So this Sunday we have, we're shopping for the kids. We actually have 6 kids. So that is the bucket. Feel free to put in whatever you can. If you can't put anything, that's okay, but we just need a lot of help with that. And that is right after class until 2. And we will be wrapping them when we get back to the church. This is next Sunday. So don't show up this Sunday with socks. We don't want that. We need money for the kids. But this Sunday, we have our sock exchange. So if you haven't bought your socks, please do so. You cannot buy them when we go shopping for the kids. We're not using that money for that. That's for the kids. That is from 6 to 8:30. Also, we need bags of candy, because I don't know if you've ever seen a gingerbread house, but it's a little bare if you don't put candy on it. So if you want a pretty gingerbread house, please bring candy for that. And our last thing is, Winterfest! Woo! Winterfest is in February. It is the weekend of the 17th to the 19th. It's going to be great. Sign-ups are already up. Parents, they send out an email. If you have a phone, it's in the group me. Also, we need chaperones. I heard that Mr. Pierre Anderson is coming, and he is ready for the mosh pit. So I'm expecting you to be there.
Hey, wait.
He's back there Googling mosh pit.
Okay, that is all of our announcements. Now Nick is going to come up here and we're going to sing one last song. Oh, sorry, stand and sing. Stand.
All right, let's close it out. You all know this song. Side of proud and sing this out to close our time together. A common love for each other.